Hello and welcome to today's NinjaTrader ecosystem event, Insights into the Mind of a Market Wizard. My name is Thomas and I'm a platform representative here at NinjaTrader. Now, before we start the webinar, I have a few housekeeping notes. Now, this webinar is presented by NinjaTrader LLC, which is a technology company responsible for developing and supporting the NinjaTrader trading software. Brokerage-related questions should be directed to the NinjaTrader brokerage using the phone number or email on your screen. And if you are new to NinjaTrader, please make sure you sign up for a free NinjaTrader account, which includes access to 14 days of complimentary real-time market data. Our platform is always free for advanced charting, strategy backtesting, and trade simulation. You can create your free account by following the link on the screen and then clicking Get Started under the Welcome section. And before I turn over the mic to Mandi, it is important to understand that futures, foreign currency, and options trading contain substantial risk and is not suitable for every investor. It is possible to lose all or more than one's initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And please remember that these trading solicitations are not solicitation or recommendation, but simply educational in nature. Now, thank you again for joining us today. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome into the NinjaTrader webinar room, Mandi.
Hello, thank you so much for the awesome introduction, Thomas. And I will share my screen. Excellent. So, yeah, it's very exciting. We had like 200 people registering, over 200 people, 250 people. And of course, not everybody can make it. So quite a few emailed me asking if they can have the recording because they're in different time zones. And yes, of course, you all get the recording because I will try to pack as much as possible into this half-an-hour presentation. Usually that's an hour presentation. So without further ado, as Thomas said, let's just dive into it. So for you guys who don't know who Linda Raschke is, I think, you know, some of the younger traders don't really know her, but Linda is one of the most successful traders on the globe. And she was audited, she was running a fund. And so her results are proven, right? So it's not that she said, oh, I'm an amazing trader. No, her results are proven, audited, and everything is really confirmed how her performance is just off the charts. And I met Linda in 2019 at an event in Melbourne, and because I actually live in Australia, even though I'm German. But it was funny because we actually connected over horses more than trading to begin with, and of course, you know, trading as well. But I met her in 2018, 2019, and she invited me to speak at the Money Show in Chicago, and then I spent a month with her. And so that's her trading room. That's a photo that I took in 2019. So here we have Zoe on the left-hand side. She's very black, so I had to circle her. And this is little Domino. So these are the two dogs that were around us the whole time. And here we have Kyle. Kyle is amazing. Kyle is Linda's assistant. So Kyle does everything that Linda is not good at. And Linda is so generous. So she gave me permission to share everything that needs to be shared that is helpful for you guys. And as I said, if you are not familiar with, check out her YouTube channel, Linda Raschke, also her website and her Twitter account. She, you know, brings so much amazing value to everyone. Now, when you want to ask a question, just type it into the chat, and I will, if it is relevant to the section where we're at, I will respond to it straight away because I want to make this webinar relevant to you guys. And if it is not so relevant to that section that we're at, then I will respond to it afterwards, right? So please be assured that I will answer as many questions as possible. Now you can see that's her book, Trading Sardines. And in her book, wow, there is so much wisdom because she shares everything that she has experienced on her trading journey that started 1982 up until the time when she brought when she brought this book out, which was 2020. Now, why I circled those two books is because those two dogs is because they're such a representative for our trading mind. Now, Zoe, she went to doggy school. Zoe is so well behaved. She listens. You can let her off leash, and everyone is safe. Now, little Domino is a rescue dog. And Domino is so unruly. He hasn't been to doggy school. And if you let him off the leash and he sees something that he's interested in, he just runs off. There's no stopping. And if you are not careful, you could cause accidents and cause a lot of trouble. That's why little Domino only gets off the leash when he is in a safe space with a fence around. And even then, he jumps fences. He's just so wild. Now, these two dogs are such a great representation of a trader's mind. In order to be amazing traders, phenomenal, successful, high performance traders, we need to train our mind like we trained Zoe, or like Linda trained Zoe. Most traders' minds, though, are like little Domino. They are unruly, they are very impulsive, they're very fearful. So Domino was an abandoned dog. He was, on a chain, left in the garden all alone as a baby. So he has a lot of abandonment issues. And he gets so impulsive and fearful that sometimes he shakes for fear, right? Almost like a trader when the markets are crazy. So we can see so many similarities, and we have to train our mind. Please do not think that you just go to the markets, you open up a chart, and you have a mind that's ready for success. No, you need to turn it into a little Zoe. Okay. Now, before we get started, my little disclaimer, which says basically, I'm not a psychologist. I'm a highly trained professional high performance coach, and I don't take responsibility for anything and everything. Everything is your responsibility. That's what it says in a nutshell. Yeah, so we are all adults here, and we need to make sure that we are safe, that if anything that would maybe trigger you or any fears, that you are very responsible and you go and seek help. Okay, so we have to take responsibility for our lives like we have to do in trading. That's all it says. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to share with you as much goodness as possible. Now, what is the difference between an amazing trader and a trader who's average or keeps failing? Now, most traders think that we see that on Twitter, on social media, right? There's this picture of these perfect traders who are disciplined, who don't have any fears, and they always follow the rules. And that's why they're successful. And it's like so far from the truth. And Linda's the first one who says she's not the best trader, but she has a very strong mindset. And she makes so many mistakes. I'm in a Skype room with Linda, and she makes so many mistakes, but she's still one of the best traders because the mistakes that don't matter, because she deals with them straight away. And also she knows how to come back from a loss. She has so much self-confidence and self-assuredness, and she has so much faith in her strategy, in her methodologies altogether, that even a big loss doesn't faze her. And I will share with you some examples here today. And I see traders who are not doing so well. They don't do the work that she has put in, right? So Linda does a lot of modeling. And again, I will go into details afterwards. Modeling means that she would sit there in front of the chart and say, what happens every day after the first 5 minutes, or after the first 10 minutes, after the first 15 minutes? And then she would get some stats on that. So that's what we call modeling. Whereas backtesting is, okay, I have a 15-minute breakout strategy, or I trade chart patterns like double tops, or I trade harmonics or Fibonacci's. It doesn't matter. And then I'll go back and look at how many times did my strategy perform well. That's backtesting. Okay, so Linda doesn't believe in backtesting at all. She did a lot of modeling. And it doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong. She's the first one to always say that. It's what works for you. How does your brain work? Now, in this book, Trading Sardines, I loved it so much, and I will give you a link later on where you can read the first chapter for free of Linda's website. And it's only available from her website, so please don't buy it on Amazon because it's completely overpriced there. But Linda, yeah, she just sells it on her website for, several reasons. Doesn't really matter. So she talks about that this book is her journey as a trader, where her knack for being on the wrong side of outliers and unforeseen events, and there were plenty. Like her life was so eventful, like tornadoes, or she was in a plane and then the market would collapse, or she would fall off her horse and break her shoulder and she couldn't use the keyboard anymore, or the cat was dancing on the keyboard. This is like the funniest stories, which are not really funny when you lose money about it, but she has a lot of humor, and we look back at it. The book is so funny, really. So we can also see that even when we become super successful traders, it doesn't matter. We still have all these challenges that struggling traders have. It's just that Linda or successful traders deal with them differently. And I've got quite a few very successful traders who earn the millions, and every one of them has times when it's just really difficult. Yeah, so don't have unrealistic expectations of yourself to be that perfect trader. Does not exist. But how you deal with those challenges, that's really the big difference. And I will give you lots of examples, okay? So she is very much into keeping a positive attitude. And I found that sometimes she would send me a message on Skype saying, "Oh man, I messed up this, let's say, gold trade, doesn't matter." And I was busy or was out, and then I come back an hour later and it's like, "Oh, what happened with the gold trade?" And she's like, "What gold trade?" Like she really leaves these experiences behind so quick, and she already moved on to the next trade and finds new opportunities. So one of Linda's strengths is really the positive attitude, in terms of she gets a little annoyed about something that happens, and then she leaves it in the past and she moves on, because she knows she can make the money back really quickly and easily as long as she stays focused, and she puts in the time to wait for the next setup. And so she talks about single-mindedness. So that's the focus that she has. She's really big into focus. And how many of us are being really, it's hard not to give in to the sirens of Facebook and Twitter or X and TikTok and Instagram and emails and friends and phone calls and food, to stay focused. But that's what it takes, she says. Just cut everything off, no TV. And I can really confirm that, because I was sitting next to her 2 weeks in the room, in the trading room, and we would not talk, like really barely talk. And if not anything needs to be said, we would Skype each other so we wouldn't interrupt the trading. And that was the amount of focus we put in. That was such a new experience for me, because I never knew that. And I thought, oh, it's a bit rude, but it's not. If you want to achieve success, you just have to keep your boundaries and train people around you how to actually do that. You train people how to respect your boundaries, because most they don't know that. And so we have to teach people around us how we want to be treated, how we need to be treated in order to bring out the best in us and to be a high performance trader. And this is really something that Linda taught me. It was just amazing. And then after the trading days, so at 4 o'clock, we would go and have fun and go to the horses and walk the dogs and did just fun stuff. But between 6 and 4, there was just focus. Yeah, so really, really interesting. So here are a few examples of all the challenges she had. And what is super interesting is she started off her career in 1982. And after 6 months, so she started at the trading floor in Philadelphia. After 6 months, she had a $60,000 loss, because she thought there's a surefire trade. and it just went terribly wrong. And she was overnight in a $60,000 loss. So you can imagine 1982, $60,000, that was a lot. And there was no one bailing her out. So she had to actually work it off. And she says that was kind of a blessing in disguise in terms of she had no other choice but stay with trading because she had to pay the broker off, right? So it's just really interesting how life goes and what we think might be a misfortune can turn into a fortune. She then got two people who took her on under her wings, and they were really hard taskmasters. Every Friday, they would talk to her and say, hey, why did you take this trade? Why didn't you take this trade? Why did you get out of this trade so early? Why didn't you stay in this trade? Like she writes in the book that she could never get it right with them, but that was the best training she could ever get. And so even though it was a very hard lesson, and especially having such a hard lesson at the beginning of her journey, she learned risk management very, very quickly. And so that might have protected her from a $6 million loss. Who knows, right? So she fell off her horse and severed her right shoulder. What that meant was she needed to find a solution how to handle her keyboard. And so she got someone who was helping her to program the keys so that she needed to just get one, index finger and just press one key in order to execute orders. So she was very good at finding solution to problems. Then she had chronic fatigue for 3 years and she got out of that. And it started when she was watching Tony Robbins. That's when her positive attitude journey started. So she was in bed, sleeping with her chronic fatigue and barely able to move. And then she started listening to Tony Robbins and just getting positive feedback. I can do it. I will find a way. And so she got back on her feet. Just again, very interesting. So you can read this slide in your own time because it's just so many things happen. So you can see no matter how successful we become in life, there will always be challenges and they will not stop. And even now, there's another challenge, but she's very good at solving problems, right? So we want to become really good problem solvers. And I hope that gives you a little bit of, comfort, because a lot of you guys, you contacted me and you said, oh, I've been through so much shit in my life and I just don't know how to get out of it. Know that Linda also had these challenges and found a way to overcome them. So my favorite saying is, everybody knows what to do. It's doing what you know in the heat of the moment. That's the hard part. And that's something that Steve Ward, who was my coach in 2012, taught me. And it's so true, right? We all know how to lose weight and how to get fit and how to make profits. It's not rocket science. But doing it is so hard. And I always get mad when I see on Twitter, you just have to be disciplined and patient. It's like, oh, yeah, great. Anybody knows that, but teach me how to do this. And I hope that this webinar, I will be able to share with you a few tricks and tips on how you can learn to do the things that you know you must. It's all about getting out of your losing trades. I tell you, every successful trader I work with, there's quite a few, they all get out of their losing trades. That's really what it takes. Practice that. It's the skill that sets the winner apart from the loser. Now, what is it? It's the learning, the training of the mind to think. It's not the learning of facts. It's learning how to train your mind, how to think. So listen how I say it's not learning how to think, it's not training the mind to think, it's learning how to train your mind. Because it's continuously you have to keep training your mind. It doesn't stop, right? And it gets better and better, and you become like a well-behaved doggy like Zoe, or your mind stays like a crazy dog like little Dominic. Now, we need to understand what creates our results. And what creates our results, in a nutshell, very simplified, is our conditioning, our past experience that create our values and beliefs. So if you believe that you're capable of trading, becoming a successful trader, if you believe you're worthy of making all that money, if you believe you can overcome any challenges or not, then our standards, how we make our decisions, what we expect of ourselves, right? I see so many traders, they let themselves off the hook. They have all these horror stories why they can't take their losses. It's like, it doesn't matter whatever happened. Everybody has had some challenges in life, and Linda had plenty of them growing up. It's a decision that you make. It's the standards that you keep with yourself, what you do and what you don't do. And that creates your trading traits, your habits, your routines. And then will help you to create new conditioning, new experiences, new memories, new beliefs, new values. So it's like a spiral up. We become better and better. So these programming that you have, they define how you think and how you feel, because you want to know, how do I get to this area? Well, how you think and how you feel tells you how you have been programmed, what your beliefs and values are, and so on. And how you think and how you feel decides what actions you take. They decide if you get into a trade, if you have a setup, or if you let it go because you're too worried about losing money. They decide if you take your loss or if you let it run trying to fix the problem. They decide if you stay in the winning trade to your profit target, or if you get worried about giving your profits back and go get out of this trade early. So if you have a result, let's say you got out of your trade too early. I mean, that was today, right? It was this massive reversal, and quite a few traders got out of their trades too early because of the volatility, right? I mean, they were long the day before, and then the market came down yesterday and today up again. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but the methodology is still set to them to stay in the trade. So if you have that experience, look at what actions did you take to get yourself out of this trade? And what did you think and feel in order to take that action? What did you say to yourself to justify to click that mouse button and get out? What feelings did you have? So when you had fears, where did you feel those fears? In your tummy, in your chest, in your head? Where were those fears? Because those fears, where we feel them in our body, so that's the somatic work that I do with my traders, tell us if you had the fear of losing control, if you had the fear of being wrong, if your mind went blank and you just couldn't think anymore, and so all the feelings, all the impulse took over. And that's then the area where we can work with, we can learn how to change our thinking and our feeling, our actions, so we get better results. So as I said here, the conditioning is really important, right? So let's look at what Linda's conditioning was. So Linda writes in her book, I grew up losing during many board and card games with my family. So Linda got used to losing very, very quickly because she has brothers and sisters in her family that played games, and they did not worry about the other family member losing. Everybody was just trying to win. And so you can imagine she already experienced losing, and losing a trade was then not a big deal anymore, right? Because it was familiar to her, and she learned how to become better so that she would win next time. So if you haven't learned how to lose when you grew up, then go and play board games now, right? So train yourself to become a good loser, not only in your trading, but in any area of your life. And being a good loser, it's a skill. Yeah. So what does it mean? We can go and say, "Oh man, I lost and not fair," or we can say, "Damn you!" And that's what Linda did, right? "Damn you! I'm going to figure out what you did so that I can learn that too, and I can play better next time in my board game." And that came in her trading really, really handy, because that's also what she did in her trading. Now, she grew up with grit. Her mom, I met her, she's amazing, but she is a tough lady and she loved going on hikes. And so Linda said, we would get up one mountain, and her mom's like, "Just one mountain." And then they get to the top of the mountain, and then her mom's like, oh, there's just another mountain. Let's just take another 2 hours of hike. And so Linda learned how to keep going and how to have grit. It might have been a little painful when she was 16, but then in her trading, it really helped her to keep going even in tough times, right? So Linda can take a lot of heat, as we call it. So when trading gets difficult, she doesn't get scared easily. She feels the pain like everyone else. She gets to worry about, should I stay in the trade or should I get out? But she is like, no, I know my system. I know my models. I know my stats. I stick with it no matter how painful. That's also the same with all my other really successful traders. They also have this grit. And again, grit we can practice. If you haven't learned grit when you were a child, then you can practice grit now, right? So another experience that was hard on her as a child was, yeah, she was forced to pay several jobs from a very young age because she had no financial backing from her family and she wanted to continue her education going to school. So in America, you had to pay for school. In Germany, you didn't. So I grew up very, very lucky. And when the parents separated, there was no money for school. So Linda went and she gave piano lessons. She worked in a little shop. She did everything that she had to do to pay for her own education. So she had to grow up very, very quickly. She had to become responsible very quickly. She's the oldest of her siblings, and the mother then was very busy, surviving and working. So Linda had to take care of the siblings as well. So she had to learn how to be a responsible adult at a very young age. Again, might have been very hard, but later on, running a business and being a trader, it really served her. So have a look at your own life. Where in your own life are you not responsible? And for example, letting your losses run is not what responsible people do. If you don't pay your bills on time, that is not what responsible people do. If you don't take care of your taxes and you're like 3 years behind, that is not what responsible people do. So if you always run late, right? So the signs are always there that will always follow through in your trading. And if you are not good at trading, so having said that, I know traders who are amazing traders, and they're all super messy in all areas of their lives, in their relationships, in their taxes, in their finances, but they're amazing traders. If you're struggling with trading, then then you will want to have a look at how you can improve on these things. So she has very high standards and expectations. I have to speed up. I'm a little behind. So you can see here, Linda did actually win the masters in bodybuilding at the age of 48. I mean, anyone who's over 40, any woman, knows how hard it is. So she has very high standards. And I said, how did you do that? She said, full immersion. I fully immersed myself in eating healthy. And I said, didn't you feel like eating some sweets or so? Because she ate just tuna and steamed chicken. And she said, yes, of course. But then I would read the magazines for the bodybuilding, and I would talk to other people who were into bodybuilding. And that kept me focused on, I need to lose that weight so I can do the bodybuilding work. Record keeping is one of those things that she does. She says it's a critical part of building a good foundation. And we do our best work when we are free from distractions and the influence of others. So again, the focus, right? And she always closes out her losses because she wants to be focused the next day. And she does want to have to clean up the mess from the day before. Right? So she is so strict with her rules and the routines and the record keeping. That is one of her key superpowers. And if you don't do that, well, then there's some work for you to do, okay? Now, she has very strong work ethics. I kept everything on the chart so that you can pause the video and watch and read everything through. We don't have time to go into the details, but she's a lifelong learner and she still loves learning new things. She always shares with me the new books that she reads and new concepts that she learns. So when she reads a book, she does really look at the content. She wants to learn the concept of what she's being taught. And this is a mistake that a lot of people do, a lot of traders do. They just want to learn how to trade, but they don't want to learn how to think, how other traders think. And when you learn how Linda thinks, you don't need to trade like her. But if you think like her, your style of trading will also work. I can't trade like Linda because she's a big picture person. I'm more of a detailed person. But I learned how to think like her, and it really helped me. For example, winners close out losers immediately. And as we said here before, if you're starting the next trading day having all the baggage from the day before, then you can't focus. Then you are at a psychological disadvantage, right? So these things are really non-negotiables for her. Now, her belief system is really set for success. And she always asks herself really good quality questions. She would never say, I'm such an idiot. Why do I keep doing the same mistake over and over again? And this is what I hear a lot from failing traders. I can't do it. What's wrong with me? Will I ever make it? Not quality questions, people. What we need to ask ourselves is, okay, so how can I trade this trade better? What did I miss? Whom can I ask for help that they can go through the charts with me and point out what I maybe missed? Go on live market replay and retrade the same trade over and over and over again. And she really is fully into pull yourself up by the bootstraps. When you have losses and disappointments, it's no help dwelling on it. Look forward, leave that behind in the dust. And she knows that she always does the best work when she comes from a loss because she doubles down on focus. She knows she has a great team behind her. And she just believes in herself so much. And we had this racehorse called Wings in Australia. And this horse, she always came back from the back of the field, overtook everyone, and she won 25 races in a row and was never beaten. And I always call Linda Wings, like when Linda had a mess up or the market just did its thing and she got caught on the wrong side of the trade. I always call her Wings. You know, you come back from the back and overtake the field and make it all back. Now, when we look at her values, which is part of our programming, because her experience in childhood where she, had to fend for herself, her biggest value is independence. So notice it's not freedom. So when someone has the value of freedom, that's very dangerous because the value of freedom means that doing a routine or, having to sit on the computer during certain times where something is required of them, they feel like, oh, my freedom is being taken away from me. So when we have people who have freedom as the highest value, they often don't do what needs to be done in order to succeed. But when we take freedom as a goal, then that's different. So if your goal is to become free, then right now, because the goal is out there in the future, right now I do whatever it takes to gain that financial freedom, to gain the time freedom, to gain the freedom of making my own decisions. And that's the same as independence. Yeah, so Linda would do the routines if she wanted to or not. After the trading day, she would sit down half an hour and prepare for the next day and find her peace in the current day. It was just non-negotiable for her. That's what you do when you want to have independence and freedom. And again, focus, knowledge. She loves learning. She has a high level of integrity. That's just amazing. She's very truthful. Like she's not afraid of being judged or so. She just like, that's what happens. So, deal with it. Like I'm not one of those people that you have to put on a pedestal because I can get knocked off really quickly. I don't like that. And she's very conscientious. She is on time. She is reliable. It's just flows through into all areas of her life. Right? Something to think about. The key learnings that I got from her book, and again, there's so many, I had to take half out of it. She's a great believer in structure, rituals, and routines because she says order creates a well-functioning world. And this is also what Arnold Schwarzenegger, someone that she adores, believed in. Arnold Schwarzenegger says, have as many rituals and routines and structure as possible in your life because then you don't need to think about it and you can keep your head open and free for making the decisions that are in a world of uncertainty where you need to make decisions about things that you didn't expect and where you want to grow and learn, right? So you keep your mind free from everything that can be automated. Very big in that. Again, record keeping, keep your statistics. NinjaTrader has an amazing reporting function. So if you don't know what your records are, what your profit factor is, what your MFA, what your MEA, so your favorable excursion, how far did your trade go into profit before you actually got out of it? How much money did you leave on the table actually? Or the adverse excursion, how much did your trade go into a loss before you got out? So your risk and money management, did your trade go into a $1,000 loss before you got out at $100 profit? That's bad money management, bad risk management. Well, NinjaTrader has all these amazing tools for free available for you. And then you can say, well, my exit strategy is actually needs some work. And because my MFA shows I leave a lot of money on the table, then you can go and live market replay in NinjaTrader and practice doing it better. Like, it's so amazing. I love when my traders use NinjaTrader because we can do some really solid work in the coaching area, because it's not always mindset. It's also skill set. It's always a combination. And sometimes people ask me, what's more important, mindset or skill set? And it's like, you are asking me right now, what is more important, your arms or your legs? Everything has a different function, so you need both. And with NinjaTrader, you can practice both. So I did a training with one of my traders this morning who has enormous fears, anxieties from a very, very hard childhood. No wonder he has so many anxieties. And he was also working with a psychologist to help him through the anxiety. And we're doing lots of somatic work. I sent him to a kinesiologist. And but so I go on live market replay with him and like, okay, what is that you're fearing now? What is it that you're feeling now? So he writes everything down. Actually, he records everything during the trade so that we can work on it. We can transform his fears and heal his fears. And so one of my friends, we start off as clients, and she's my friend now. She had this amazing epiphany. She was always on the edge of the seat and had this desperation almost to get into a trade, and just like, wow, what is this? And then suddenly, like the flash of the obvious, we did a live market replay as well on NinjaTrader, and she's like, oh my god. And she remembered suddenly how she was 5 years old, and she had those chocolates that she was selling for charity for the scouts. And she, 5 year little old girl, she ate the chocolates. And her mom found out that she ate the chocolates instead of selling them, and her mom completely lost the plot. She was, kicking the cupboards and screaming at her and crying because she didn't have the $5 to pay for the chocolate. That's how poor they were. Can you imagine how that is the programming, the conditioning that then creates the belief system? And that then creates the behavior through the thinking and feeling. And when we uncovered that, oh my God, she's like, the desperation just fell away. It's just amazing, right? So this is what you can create when you do really the work. So it's in the time spent on preparation outside regular trading hours that make a trader successful. And this is what my friend and I did, right? We went on live market replay outside trading, and we found out what the blockage is, what's stopping her, so that she can release it and then trade, like, without the fears, which is supposed to be normal, right? And then it's a little crude, but that's what Linda got always told. You know where you can find sympathy between shit and syphilis in a dictionary. And it really is, I see so many traders that want sympathy and, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, you don't need sympathy. What you need is really good quality insights into someone holding up a mirror to you who shows you what your behavioral patterns are, because we have these blind spots. And I have my coach as well that I work with, and my kinesiologist, where I'm being showed, wow, I didn't realize I behave like that, or I say these things, or this is how I feel in my trading. So, for example, when I grew up, my brother and I, we are very close. I love my brother. My brother is a very successful lawyer, and I think he was born a lawyer. I think he was already a lawyer when he was a baby, and he would talk very often with me like a lawyer. So he often intimidated me when I was little, and so when I started trading, I felt the market were intimidating, and I had like no idea why. It didn't make sense. And then what we do is we project. So my brother was kind of a father figure for me as well, because my parents separated quite early, which is why the intimidation or the feeling of authority towards my brother came from. As we didn't really have a normal brother-sister relationship, he was more of a father to me because he had to take care of me, poor guy. And so I projected authority onto my brother, and this is what we also do. So ask yourself, if the market were your father or your mother, or the authority figure that you grew up with, because some have been adopted, um, who would it be? And what are the same feelings? And then you can really drill down into, that's the thing that I need to resolve within myself. Yeah, so for me, it was then resolving with my brother the feeling of being intimidated. And then I just had a chat with my brother, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to," and it's like all good. And then that feeling just fell off. It's a little bit simplified, of course, but sometimes it is that simple. Sometimes it takes a little bit more work. Yeah, so experience is not just knowing the markets, but also understanding our own personal trading patterns. That's what Linda believes in and also writes in her book. Now, ego. I'm a big fan of my ego, because my ego used to be like little domino, very naughty, but now I trained my ego to be like Zoe. So I use my ego to cheer me on. A good trader does not need validation. So that's the ego that is like little domino who runs off and causes, accidents. And I hear a lot of traders say, "Oh, my win-loss ratio is 90%." And it's like, who cares? What really matters is your profit factor. Your profit factor, and you can see that in the NinjaTrader reporting function. Amazing. You get any statistics that you want to find on your strategy. And I actually worked with a trader on Sunday, and he uses NinjaTrader for his online prop account. And he bought a bot. He bought like an algo. And so I said to him, "How do you know this thing works?" It was a lot of money. It was $5,000. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." So we actually ran it through the back test, and we ran it through the last 10 years. And yes, that thing works. So I'm like, that's money well spent, because if he, had traded one lot on the SPY only, he would have made like $150,000 since 2020. Right? So money well spent. And that's the information you need to get. So it doesn't matter if it is 90% or 35%. By the way, one of my traders just made $2 million this few weeks, and his profit loss ratio is 41%. So it does not matter, right? What you want to look for is your profit factor that tells you how much money did you lose. So for every dollar that you lose in your strategy, how much do you make? And so if you have a profit factor of 0.8, that means for every dollar you lose, you make 80 cents profits. Doesn't work, right? But if your profit factor is 2.5, for every dollar you lose, you make $2.50, right? Really cool. That's what you want. So I use my ego in terms of, so my challenge was always taking my losses. And then when I take my loss, I say, "Mandi, you fucking rock. You're amazing, because you just did what 99% of traders don't want to do. You took your loss where you said you'd take it." And that's how I cheer myself on. And this is my ego, right? My ego is like, "Oh, I want to be number one. I want to be in top 1%. And I work with it to bring the best out in me." Yeah, so have a look at your ego and use it to bring out the best in you, like we have with little Zoe. Where am I going wrong, and where I'm going to cover if I'm wrong? Linda always knows that. Tilt is a condition of poor decision making, and you can learn how to deal with it. it is also often getting a bad phone call from your spouse. So that's what Linda writes in her book and what she says, or having a mother-in-law in the house, or like, I say that tongue in cheek. But, it can be anything that triggers something outside of trading that then puts you on tilt. And make sure you're well prepared. Pretend you're going on tilt and practice what you're going to do if you go on tilt, how you learn to manage yourself. Yeah, so again, you can do that on live market replay with NinjaTrader. So when I had a trader who's going on tilt, I go with this trader on tilt and we practice trading that better. Yeah, so that's a really good way of becoming a better trader. We have all the tools. Guys, when I started trading, we had none of those tools. There was no internet. I had to call my broker. I had to actually travel physically to seminars, which was actually amazing. I love that. Because I can't see you guys. I don't know if what I'm saying is interesting or not, or useful for you guys or not. And there was no such thing as live market replay. There was no such thing as reporting function. We had Excel spreadsheets. Right? And she's also very much into staying strong psychologically and physically. You have to move. You have to keep your brain in top shape. You have to do stress relief. Linda does all of that. So we had every morning really healthy, what's it called? We had fruit for breakfast and just really lots of goodness to begin the day. So make sure that you keep yourself emotionally, mentally, and physically in top shape, whatever that means. But it does mean that you have to work out if you want to, but make sure that you're not in aches and pains. If you have back pain, you can't trade well. Yeah, I can tell you I had back pain many, many years, and it was very hard to stay focused when I was trying to deal with the pain at the same time. So this is the famous botched bean trade. So this is how Linda dealt with something really bad. So she was here where the arrow is. She knew something is wrong and she wanted to get out of this trade. So she was long. She wanted to get out of this trade. And whatever happened, no one really knows. She called her assistant, not Kyle, that was, many years ago, this botched bean trade. She called her assistant, said, "Can you get me out of this trade?" And instead of getting out, they doubled up the long position. And then you can see there was a massive gap, right? So a massive gap down. And she lost like most of the profits she had made for the year. And that was for the fund. So you can see here, she writes how she felt. And then she's like, okay, so that's just the way it is. We need to get ourselves focused, leave the emotions behind in the dust. Don't look back, focus. You have an amazing team behind you. Now put your head down and get to work. And at the end of the month, she actually had made all the money back and even more. Right? So that's amazing. And that is what's possible for everyone. So again, her book is so insightful. I really learned so much. So how does she deal with losses? What do you do when things aren't going well? You don't dig a deeper hole. You can see Domino, he that was Linda's worksheet and he took it and he played with it. So it was really funny. We took a photo. He's just so cute. I just love Domino. But so Linda does not try to fix a trade. She, like this bean trade, opened down. She got out of it straight away. She regrouped. She didn't try to get out of the better price. Nothing. She's like, that doesn't work. I get out. I clear my mind. And then I go back and I make the money back with new trades, making new profits. Yeah, because she knows that if she stays in this trade and she's trying to get out of that position, after knowing the statistics, more often than not, it was not possible to get out at the better price. It was always at the worst price. So she has at the bottom of her daily trade sheet correct mistakes immediately. Winners admit mistakes. And another trader that I work with, he's amazing. And he also, it's non-negotiable. He had twice a massive gap down. So he trades stocks overnight, had a massive gap down, and it was like a $300,000 loss. He just gets out straight away. There is no negotiation, nothing. He regroups and then he makes the money back. Right. So I saw it. It's just like when you see his statistics, there's little losses, and then big spikes profits. That's his trading strategy. So he stalks trades and then he gets on the big runs. Just phenomenal. There's no right or wrong. You just find your way. So Linda has a really strong self-talk, right? There's none of the, oh man, crap, now I have to deal with this trade. No, nothing like that at all. It's always like, come on, Linda, you can do it. You gotta fight. You've got an amazing team around you. You need to get that money back for your clients, right? You can't let them down. And she's, I'm going to get that money back because I'm going to focus. Got an amazing team around me, and I can do it. And I'm not going to check out, because if I check out for 1 minute, so losing focus for 1 minute, I'm dead. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very well prepared. I'm going to have my routine. I know how to deal with that crazy blip. And so here I'm a racehorse lining up at the gate, because Linda loves horses. She has amazing horses. And her horse is actually called Richie Rich, which I find so cute. He's like the most awesomest horse. Also, he's just, yeah, he's got this beautiful personality. And so Linda's like, turn off the mind, leave the thinking to the horses, put the blinkers on, and then wait for that starting bell. So I just want to make sure that there are no questions, because there's still no questions in the chat. We have 7 minutes to go. So now is your chance to ask questions. Nothing so far. I keep going then. Oh, yes, we have a question. I see there's a hand raised, but can you type it into the chat? Hi, Filippo, how are you? Do you want to type your question into the chat? So nice you're here. I still owe you a response to an email. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with these things. Excellent. So you can see I gave you a little insight. There is so much more to Linda. If there are no questions, I keep going. We actually had scheduled this webinar last month and we had a technical glitch. We couldn't continue. So at the time we had an offer. I'm running a Winning Traders Mindset, and it started last week. So session 1 is gone, and that's why I said I'm happy to give you $100 off if you still want to join for session 2, 3, and 4. So yeah, we have a question here. Is there a fine line between being profitable and having the data to back it up versus a beginner thinking they're losing due to psychological issues? Amazing question. I really love that question, because I just saw a tweet that you only have psychological questions, problems if you don't have a strategy. If you have a strategy, you don't do what you were supposed to do. But I say, if you have, hi Eduardo, if you have not done your homework, so if you're not doing your planning and preparation, that's a psychological issue. If you have not done the work into your money and risk management, so I was working with someone and he's like, oh, I'm just losing, I don't know why. And I said, show me your stats. What's your money and risk management? So what's your exit strategy? And it's like, oh, I don't have one. Well, the fact that you don't have a money and risk management, that is a psychological issue, right? That's a mindset issue, I would say. So what's stopping you? You know what to do, but you're not doing what you know. I have a hard time fighting between the two. That's really, really great. So find out what's stopping you doing the replay, what's stopping you doing defining your strategy. Often it's that we don't know how to do these things. Now the questions come in, so that's I love it. It's really good. Just quickly, if you want to read, oh, now I can't do this. If you want to read Linda's first chapter, I'm actually going to ask Thomas to email that out for you. That's a free chapter you can read from her before I go and continue the seminar. Sorry, continuing the questions. So if there's something that stops you doing the work that needs to be done, you need to have a look at what's going on for you. What is stopping you? What's the I was working with a trader and she said, I have this resistance. I'm sitting down at the screen and I want to do my planning and preparation. I just can't do it. I don't know why. That's a mindset issue, okay? Oh, thank you so much, Thomas. You're awesome. Thomas just posted the link where you can find Linda's first chapter. Jan, hi Jan. Hello Mandi, is there a good starting point how to learn Linda's methods? So Linda has the a YouTube channel. Start there. Linda's strategy, you have to imagine, Linda started with a bread and butter strategy. And it was very, very simple. And she's been trading 40 years. So she had her bread and butter strategy that made her money. And then she started adding one piece of information at the time. And now it's just there's so much. She's such a wealth of knowledge. And she shared everything. She's so generous. She shared everything in her YouTube channel. But Jan, Linda and I are going to run a training end of September, beginning of October, most probably a 1-week training. So where you can learn from Linda directly. So we make sure we are connected on LinkedIn. I will make sure to send you the details. We keep it affordable. We're not going to charge some crazy amount like most do. Again, Linda wants to make these things affordable for everyone. She's very generous. The ebook is great. She is not a big believer in street smarts. She says that's very old. That's not applicable nowadays anymore because the markets have changed. So best bet is go to her YouTube channel. So where she also shares everything. Jean, reinforcing my ideas that I'm my worst enemy with self-inflicting wounds. Yeah, this is so awesome. What I do a lot with my traders, Gina, sorry, no, it wasn't Gina. It was Jean. What I do a lot with my traders is they have a loss and then so much pain. And then they do this negative reinforcement. I'm such an idiot. How could I? I will never make it. And the pain. And then I say, the best thing to put a band-aid on that pain. You have that loss. You took that loss. It doesn't matter. You took it far too late. It doesn't matter. You start saying, you know what? You rock. I know it was so hard and you still did it. And you will feel that pain somewhere in your body. Put that hand on your body. It's soothing already. Yeah, and then start changing your self-talk. I know I've got out too late, you know what, but I'm amazing because I do anything that needs to be done in order to get better. I'm going to grow and improve and will become a better trader for whatever it takes. I will not be conquered. Yeah, Linda's YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and Linda Raschke is her YouTube channel name. I don't have the link here right now. I'm really sorry. I only have 40 seconds left. The market is random, but it is able to forecast it with a high degree. And it's all practice. You become better each year. And you can train on live market replay or NinjaTrader. If you go to, you can practice 20 years. So take one strategy that Linda teaches on her YouTube channel or in the book, and then go back and practice this one thing until you have mastered it. So Thomas, can I just have a little bit feedback? Do I have to finish up now? I always say every successful trader had a dark past like Linda, and look how she came out like phoenix out of the ashes. And every losing trader, if that's you, wherever you are at, you have a bright future. And then no one can go back and make a brand new start, but anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. That's from Karl Barth, whoever he was. So I can answer any remaining questions. You're awesome. Thank you. So, so we have the reversing. Which one should be prioritized? Let me just go back. So I think that priority question here. The market is random. It just keeps jumping back. The market is random. My setup present, but the market reacted in a different manner that invalidates my setup. So I had that too, right? I used to love trading double tops. And then it's like, now my double top turned into a triangle and I'm short and I have to take this loss. And I felt a little bit helpless and annoyed about it. But then I went on replay and I asked myself, what is it that turns my double top into a triangle? How can I identify that in advance? And then I went with trading buddies on and said, how do you see that? So, you know, I had a trading buddy and it's like, that wasn't a short, that was a long. And it's like, how did you see that? And so we went to Riley's Market Replay and he's like, look, because of this and this. And it's like, oh, wow. And then I could learn and improve and identify the difference between a double top setting up. So I don't trade double tops like it's being taught, like you trade the neckline, because that's too big for my risk management. I don't want to take such a big stop loss. I get in pretty much at the second top because then I can keep my stops tight. I trained myself. And so now I identified, what do I need? What additional information do I need to improve the probability of that being a double top? And also I found, that's what I learned from Linda, if my setup doesn't work, it actually turns into a new setup, the opposite. So if my double top fails and takes out the high, it actually becomes a long. Yeah, so I practice trading those trades as well on live market replay. So I hope actually that helps you, gives you some insight. Yes, it invalidates this one setup, but then it gives you a new setup. And yes, sometimes in sideways market, we get chopped around, then it invalidates the new setup and has a new setup. But you need to also learn, when do we have an impulse market like we have now? And so in this market today, shorts did not work. Like you want to go long only. Yesterday, longs did not work. You only want to go short only. But then in sideways markets, you need to trade differently. And I know it's draining and disappointing, but when you think you saw your edge and your setup failing, it's because you didn't realize that your edge failing is a new edge. Okay, so thanks, Mike. You fucking rock. You too. Mike is an amazing trader, and he's one of those guys who always wants to learn more. And Mike actually asked me about my friend Anka, who is an amazing trader. It's like, should I check her out? And like, yeah, she's amazing. And so he did check her out, even though he's already an amazing trader. There's always new things to learn from other amazing people. So yeah, I love it. I found it's best to stay focused on one chart. So Jean, this is very for you. Like Linda has 20 charts open because Linda has the kind of mind that can process a lot of information. As I said, she's a big picture person. She is really bad at executing trades. So detail work is not her thing. That's why she has an assistant, because she would make so many mistakes entering her trades. That was another reason why she started using units and keyboards, her keys to enter trades. Just she looks at, okay, so that's my weakness. How can I deal with it? How can I, because that weakness is actually her strength in trading. So how can I work with it so I can keep my strength and at the same time deal with the weakness? And that's why she has these hotkeys, as it's called, because she would make too many mistakes in entering the trades. Yeah, so if you are focused on one chart, that's awesome feedback for you. You're a detailed person. You want to work maybe with candlestick patterns. You want to trade maybe smaller time frames, right? So Linda has 20 charts because she's, yeah, like Ray Dalio, exactly. And and Linda says, that's my weakness. I know it, but it's also my superpower. And so, Jean, that is your superpower. So make it work for you. Gina, I will find your question. Sorry, Gina, where is Gina's question? Here. How to get out as it feels like an infinity loop of losing streaks. Oh, I hear you. There it went again. Sorry, I just lost it again. Gina. Yeah. How to get out as it feels an infinity loop of losing streaks. As I said, I hear you. And everybody has those losing streaks. Oh, I would love to share with you one. So my amazing phenomenal trader had 2 months of, and I asked Thomas to actually email you that, and I have permission from him as well. This is what I found, like all my amazing traders, they're like, you know what, you can share my stats, just don't share my name. But if it helps other traders, feel free. Because I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could show that, because people are like upset because they have a losing streak. And here you are having a 2 month, sideways streak and don't make any money. And then you go off and have this amazing move. So don't worry about losing streaks, right? If you cut your losses quick, you know what? That's your superpower. You're amazing. Sorry, just one sec. I just had to cough a little. You are amazing. That is your superpower. Keep cutting your losses quick, okay? Like, you are in the top 90% of traders, because my friends, I have a few friends who run brokerages. They all tell me the main reason why 90% of traders bump out and don't make it is because they can't cut their losses. You do that. You're amazing. Yes, I can see you have other challenges to work with, but you're already in the top 10%. Yeah. If you reach a certain level and then go on tilt, it could suggest that you have a mindset challenge, a blockage where fear set in, past experiences where you don't want to shine because when you were shining as a child, someone put you down and your unconscious is afraid of that and tries to protect you. It could be that your strategy is suddenly not working in the new, that the market has changed. Your strategy doesn't have an edge in that market anymore. It could be so many things. So I get that you feel desperate, but you know what? It can be dealt with. You can find out how to resolve that, okay? So that feeling of desperation shows me that there might be a little bit of a mindset issue when you go on tilt afterwards, in terms of you have a self-imposed limit because of fears that someone puts you down, or that there's some pain with being successful. All right. I hope I answered your question, Gina. Filippo, how many trades takes Linda a week? Linda has one problem. She finds too many trades. That's how good she is. That's why she loves to share them on Twitter. But she's sometimes big picture and sometimes detailed. So you really have to look at what she's sharing there. So for example, she was posting that silver is going to go to the moon. Well, didn't quite go to the moon, but going to have a big leg up long before Linda started, long before silver started going up. So she actually had silver went actually down first and then rocketed up. But Linda saw that already in other, so not only on the silver chart, but based on fundamental reasons as well. So macroeconomical reasons. And so I don't know how many trades she takes, but she trades actively every day. Sometimes a lot, sometimes not so many. Yeah, so I don't know the numbers, but she trades very actively. I can assure you that, because again, I was sitting next to her and I know what she did. So how many hours she stays at the monitor? So when I was in Chicago, because Chicago is 1 hour back, we got up at 6 or 7. And so 7 o'clock latest, we were on the screens, but actually mostly 6 for 7 o'clock pre-market, preparing ourselves for pre-market. And then we stayed until 4 o'clock. And there was not much eating. We just had a little bit, we had coffee, we had a light lunch. And then after the market closed, then we would do all the fun stuff. But between 6 and 4 was just focus. And she trades the mornings differently than the afternoons. So in the mornings, she says, look at the 5-minute bars. In the afternoon, you look more at the 15-minute bars. Not in this market that we have at the moment. That's a different scenario, but generally speaking. Yeah, so she would take a little break during that to kind of reset her mindset. Booster, psychology and our mind is something that also needs to be trained. Yes, absolutely. Like, Zoe and Domino, the 2 dogs, you need to practice focus. I cannot magically tell myself to feel some way and for it to happen right away. So if you tell yourself to feel differently, it doesn't work because there's a reason why you feel the way that you feel. And to say to yourself, well, I don't need to be afraid. You need to first look at why is it you're afraid. And it can be that you're afraid because of some childhood experiences, because we know nowadays there's been so much research done that so we know nowadays that in any moment of time, the brain goes back to the data bank of your experiences, your memories, and tests if there's a danger for you. So if you have been, for example, you had a really good mark in class, and then your friends were like, oh, you're such a goody two-shoes, and you just want to look good, and we don't want to be your friend anymore because you had the best mark in school. Then you don't want to shine anymore in your trading as well, but you consciously can't remember that example, like what that example that I shared before with $5 with my friend who ate the chocolates. Right? That was so traumatic for her, but she couldn't remember it. And so you want to look at what it is that causes that particular feeling and take it serious and heal it and put it to rest. Okay, so it's your thinking and feeling. How to practice focus. Actually, sorry, I just want to show you again that one slide that where I explained this at the very beginning. Right? So this is when you feel a certain way, it's because you're conditioning from the past. So you want to have a look at where did I feel this before? And then often once you know where that feeling comes from, that's 80% of it already resolved. So yeah, how do we practice focus? Amazing question, Filippo. I love it. So the way I practice focus, because I used to be a little bit like Domino, really quickly distracted, I would use a clock on my phone and count it backwards. Yeah, so there's apps for that. Or I would meditate in terms of meditate, you can call it this way, and imagine a wave and have the number 99 in the sand, and then the wave would come and take the number away. And then I would have a 98 in the sand, and the wave would come and take the number away. And let's say I would get down to 87, then I would lose focus and suddenly think of something to eat, right? Chocolates. That's when my focus was broken. And then I need to start again from the beginning. So now I can really measure how long I can keep focus and practice focus. You can practice focus by looking at a candle, for example. There's so many different ways to practice focus. Right? So that's what I did. I imagined a clock sometimes, counting backwards, or I would get distracted and train myself not to be distracted, not to give into that impulse, but to stay focused on my screen. Yeah, so you have that impulse of wanting to change your focus, but not giving in. So that's also a really amazing practice. Gina, I'm determined and stubborn. Yes, great. But exactly, you love learning. Awesome, like Linda. And you will succeed. Do you need a last extra push, or do you need a last extra insight into what it is that is blocking you? That's your blind spot, right? And really have compassion for yourself and say, whatever I'm doing right now is learned behavior. That means I can unlearn that behavior and act in different ways so that I have better results. We know from twin studies that 60% of our behavior is learned behavior and 40% is genetic. So big picture thinking, I believe, is genetic, but it's not, I'm not a scientist, so that's what I believe. And it's something that cannot be easily learned. So if you're a detailed person or big picture person, honor that. Big picture people, you want to trade something like swing trading, harmonics, like the bigger structures in the chart, for example, or macro trading, the bigger structures like Elliott wave, for example. And if you're a detailed person, then you want to look at the candle patterns, 3 candle pattern or something. The strat, for example. I love the girls who run the strat, Sarah and I don't know what Eleanor's real name is. It's a Seinfeld person, but yeah, they're amazing. So, Gina, I've read your recommended book as well, Thinking Fast and Slow. I love it, and it's really changed my life. I've got a little training on my website in the 4 pillars there for free. And I talk about how I applied some of the concepts of Daniel Kahneman in this book, which is very much about money mindset. Alter Trades by Goldman. I don't know this, Jan. Thank you so much. So, Alter Trades by Goldman is a great read, Jan is sharing. And I will have a look. Thank you so much. There's so many amazing books. So I think I covered all the questions. Oh no, here, Booster. I used to play an online game. Oops. Sorry, I got your question again. I used to play a online game. Oh no, there's more questions. Oh, where is it? Let's use Andrew's question. I have a strategy that's working, and I get to your question afterwards. I lost it, the online game question. I have a strategy that's working well, but I have a fear of being wrong. Yeah, so the question is, where did you learn that being wrong is wrong and that you get punished for being wrong? And you can train yourself to be at peace with it and not be afraid of being wrong. So you hesitate to pull the trigger. Yeah, I hear you, Andrew. That is, yeah. So, I lost it again. Andrew, I lost your question. I will find it again. Here. Most of the time, the trade goes without me. This is so heartbreaking, isn't it? Like, you have a strategy with an edge, you don't fully trust it, you don't fully trust yourself, and then you could have made such an epic trade, it would have made your week. Right? And so there are several ways you can work with this. Number one, go on live market replay, practice pulling the trigger. So when you don't pull the trigger, guys, imagine you have pathways in your mind, neural pathways, and every habit that you have is a neural pathway, nothing else. And so when you don't pull the trigger or whatever habit you have, it's because all the neural chemical transactions that go down that one path. You have to go a new way and make a new path in your mind. Meaning, it's like, you have a field and there's one path that goes to the field, but it goes to the wrong end of the field. You want to go to the other side. And then you have to go through the field and through the high grass and just get a new path over and over again until this new path has been formed. And it's the same in your thinking, right? So you have to, when you okay, I'll wrap up this last question then. When you want to create a new habit, it's like in your brain, you need to create a new neural pathway. That's why I love NinjaTrader's Live Market Replay, because it's like creating new neural pathways in your mind, creating new habits in your mind. Yeah, like wanting to practice brushing your teeth with the left hand if you're right-handed. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So that's one thing. You want to practice on Live Market Replay how to take that trade. And then you want to really look at what are your fears around being wrong and healing those fears. Those are the old wounds. These are emotional blockages. So you can see mindset and skill set are two very different skill sets. It's not that one is more important than the other. They're both as important. I am very sorry. I need to wrap up. I had such fun with you guys. Thank you so much for asking epic questions. Q&A is my favorite because then I know I can really hit the point with you guys and help you. So I'm handing over back to Thomas. Thank you so much, NinjaTrader ecosystem, for inviting me to be part of this amazing group and helping traders to succeed and bring out the best in you and reach your full potential. So amazing webinar. Thank you so much, Mr. Trader. I'm very grateful to you guys. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, everyone. And here, over to Thomas.
All right. Well, thanks again to Mandi for taking the time to share with us today. If you enjoyed today's session, we hope to see you in future webinars. Follow us on social media for alerts about upcoming events and other NinjaTrader ecosystem news. We would like to remind you that the information provided was that of High Performance Trading and not of NinjaTrader. All information was for educational purposes and should not be construed as trading advice. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you in future events. Happy trading from all of us here at the NinjaTrader ecosystem.